China's fighter jets are being hailed for defeating Western jets in simulated aerial combat, a development that is fueling fresh anxiety about air power balances at a time when fears of a wider war over Taiwan are already running high. Reports speak of an embarrassing 9-0 defeat for the Eurofighter Typhoon in exercises against China's J-10C, with a Western jet failing to notch a single win and raising uncomfortable questions about its performance in close-in dogfights. With the Chinese jet reportedly undefeated against the European fighter, commentators warn that Taiwan is in a state of quiet panic, worried that such outcomes could foreshadow real-world encounters in any future cross-strait conflict. China's J-10C reportedly defeated Eurofighter Typhoons by a 9-0 margin in mock air battles, according to Chinese state broadcaster CCTV as cited by the South China Morning Post, a result that has drawn global attention to the fighter's performance. The Chinese broadcaster did not identify the exact drill in which these dogfights took place, leaving the specific exercise and its parameters unclear even as it highlighted the outcome. However, details described in the report appeared to match a 2024 exercise in Qatar involving Pakistan, the South China Morning Post noted, suggesting the clashes likely occurred during that multinational training event. China said its J-10C fighter went completely undefeated against Eurofighter Typhoon jets, presenting the aircraft as having achieved a clean sweep in the simulated encounters. CCTV reported that the J-10C won all 9 of its engagements in simulated combat, reinforcing the narrative that the Chinese jet held a decisive edge in those particular scenarios. The original J-10 developed by the Chengdu Aircraft Corporation in the 1980s, marking one of China's early major steps toward designing and producing its own modern fighter aircraft. In its initial form in the 1980s, J-10 was a single-engine, multi-role, third-generation fighter, intended to perform both air-to-air and air-to-ground missions for the People's Liberation Army Air Force. In 2017, China unveiled the J-10C, which entered service as a 4.5-generation fighter, featuring significant upgrades in avionics, sensors, and overall combat capability compared with earlier versions. The J-10C has since become one of the flagship products of China's defense industry, promoted for export and showcased as evidence of Beijing's growing sophistication in military aviation. J-10C is equipped with advanced engines and an active electronically scanned array radar, improving its performance, survivability, and situational awareness in modern air combat environments. It is armed with weapons such as the PL-10 and PL-15 air-to-air missiles, giving it a mix of high off-boresight short-range and long-range engagement options against enemy aircraft. U.S. defense outlet noted that the Chinese report offered a rare glimpse into the J-10C's capabilities, providing outside analysts with additional data points on how Beijing views and markets the jet's combat performance. The Eurofighter Typhoon is a modern combat jet that was jointly developed by the United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, and Spain, symbolizing a major pan-European effort to build a highly capable multi-role fighter for their air forces. Originally conceived in the 1980s, the Typhoon went through years of design, testing, and refinement before finally entering frontline service across many European countries in 2007, where it now forms a core part of their air defense and strike capability. Reports are claiming that the president of China may visit North Korea as early as next week, in what could become a major diplomatic development in the region. According to recent reports, Xi Jinping could travel to Pyongyang sometime in late May or early June as preparations for the possible visit continue behind the scenes. Sources also claim that a Chinese security delegation has already visited North Korea ahead of the proposed trip, reportedly to coordinate protection and high-level logistical arrangements for Xi's arrival. Analysts believe Beijing is signaling a renewed diplomatic push on Korean peace talks at a time when tensions between United States and regional powers continue to remain sensitive and unpredictable. Reports further suggest that Xi's potential visit could help reopen diplomatic communication channels linked to past talks between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, possibly reviving stalled negotiations on regional security and nuclear issues. China's Xi Jinping is reportedly set to act as a potential mediator between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and U.S. President Donald Trump, according to Yonhap news agency. Xi is said to have pushed for reviving Trump-North Korea dialogue following recent high-level diplomatic engagements, signaling renewed Chinese interest in regional mediation. At the same time, reports suggest Donald Trump has indicated he is open to restarting talks with Kim Jong-un, keeping the possibility of renewed diplomacy alive. Trump has also repeatedly claimed that he still maintains a good personal relationship with North Korea's Kim, despite years of stalled negotiations and nuclear tensions. On May 15, China's foreign minister described the Xi-Trump talks as fruitful and wide-ranging, framing the summit as a substantive engagement across many policy areas. Wang Yi said the two leaders spent nearly 9 hours in exchanges that combined formal talks, state banquets and working meetings, underscoring the visit's intensity. He emphasized a tone of mutual respect, a shared commitment to peace and a willingness to expand cooperation, language aimed at calming tensions and deepening ties. Wang also said both sides agreed to build a more constructive relationship of strategic stability, signaling an interest in steadier, calmer U.S.-China relations. However, China's official readout and Wang Yi himself made no mention of Iran's nuclear program, a notable omission given Trump's public statements on the subject. The readout likewise did not refer to any offer by Beijing to help resolve the Iran conflict, contradicting Trump's subsequent claims that she had offered assistance. That contrast stands in stark relief to Trump's assertion that she could influence Tehran on both uranium enrichment and the situation in the Strait of Hormuz. Beijing instead reiterated its consistent position calling for dialogue and de-escalation, favoring diplomatic steps rather than pressure or coercive measures. On the Strait of Hormuz, China said reopening should depend on a sustained ceasefire, a conditional formulation that stops short of endorsing external enforcement actions.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.